got so long.
Ohio, minasan, genki desu ka?
The Flex Inspector is here to solve your Flex woes.
Flexbox is really freaking hard, but let the Flex Inspector help you make it soft. I'm going to show you how to do a Flexbox layout, I'm going to show you how to do a 2-column layout for your project, and I'm going to add in a little bit of spicy secrets at the end of the video.
So it's time to get them tibby-dabbles wet.
Now to get started with Flex is a little bit different from what you may be used to, like I am. I'm from an olden time of floats and tables. Anyway, you put display flex on the container. So I have .flex container here. If I put display flex onto that container, you can see that all of the items start to go in one line. That's exactly what we want. Display flex is working. It's taking those calculations, those widths of the elements, and applying that to a layout. But what gets weird is you can see that they're all on one line, and that's definitely not gonna be kosher for your project. You would want those items to wrap. So there's a property called flex wrap. And if I apply that, it breaks the natural flow, the natural behavior of display flex, and applies a new behavior that helps wrap the elements if they get too large onto a new line. I want to get into some other properties too before I get into the column layout. I'm going to take flex wrap off and apply my modifying class, which is flex baby. No! You say? Oh, no. I'm gonna apply that. And what that'll do is it'll get rid of all those big elements that I have, so I can show you the true essence of those display flex properties that I want to show you that are extremely important for pretty much every project you're going to work on. And those would be align items and justify content. Align items works on the vertical axis. Justify content works on the horizontal axis. If I were to apply align items center, what do you think would happen? You can see here that the borders stretch all the way down, and they're consistent. The first child is the same height as the second child. And that's one of the properties of display flex that's actually really cool and can help you equalize the height of maybe cards in a list. But if I were to apply align item center, well, yeah, it's gonna align on the vertical axis, which is great. That's what we want. If I were to say align items flex start, that's gonna take our items and punch them up to the top real good. Yeah, I like it. That's pretty cool. And if I were to use align items flex end, it's gonna sink down to the bottom, girl. The other things that I wanted to show you was just justify content, which is again, the horizontal axis. If I were to say justify content flex end, it's gonna go all the way to the end on the horizontal axis. If I were to say center, boom, right in the center. If I were to say justify content space between, that's where it gets a little bit interesting. It pushes the element to the left and the last element to the right. Well, if I had another element, it would actually go right in the center. So it helps distribute that space in between the elements across your container. And the cool part about these properties is you can combine them. Let's say justify content center. Oh, I'm gonna blow your mind. And align item center. And that way you can have both a horizontal centering and a vertical centering to get that magic thing that everybody Googles. Shoot! Oh, I love it. Cool. I hope the Flex Inspector has done you good now, but if you're having any trouble learning, leave a comment down below, and I'll give you that love down below as well. The next thing I wanted to show you guys was the column layout. You're going to use it everywhere. It's way easy. You don't even need to use display flex properties. I'm going to go down to Flex Baby. And Flex Baby has a few properties, but the only properties that you need to know is width. Yeah, that's it. It makes sense, right? You want it to be 50% of 100% to make a 2-column layout. So I will disable, I'll disable no, so you can see all the other stuff that I created. Whoa, it's looking pretty weird, right? That was Flex wrap doing some quirkiness. So you can see that like putting on these elements, these properties wildly changes what's happening. And I don't want it to be center. So if I take off center, what's going to happen? So it is now distributing the height instead of adding little spaces in between.
If I remove
Justify content center, that's going to push everything out to 100% of the width of my container. Oh, but you can see there's one thing that's weird. It's wrapping, but you still sort of get those inline elements. So what you want to do is add width 100%. And now you have a one column layout. What you can do, add a little media query in there. And I'm using Sass, so it's going to be a little bit different from what you're probably using on your project if it's just plain old vanilla CSS. I'm specifying a media query with a min width of 800 pixels. Nothing changed. Yeah, that's how media query works. Min width, right now it's 750, 780, 800. Boom! A 2-column layout. Awesome. That's exactly what we wanted. There are 2 more things that I want to show you. A little secret additional sugar that I want to add in, if you don't mind me doing so. So I'm going to take off some of these elements so that I can really show you what FlexGrow does. And this is on your child container. So we'll take off width as well. We'll take off that width as well. Awesome, we're back to square one. On my first child, I have a special class, FlexBabyVivi. That'll help us apply FlexGrow 1. And FlexGrow 1 is just specifying a proportion of that container to be assigned to your 86 B sweeps. And that's really cool because let's say you have maybe some text or a search box and then some buttons on the right-hand side. Your search box would expand the rest of the width. Your buttons would just stay static. The width would pretty much be the same. That helps you build these extremely flexible layouts that look really cool and are pretty functional.
There's one more additional trick that the Flex Inspector would like to show you before he goes.
And that is gap. It's coming to browsers. It's getting there. To start with gap, all you got to do is put gap on your container. But there's also long forms of gap, which is column gap and row gap. So when I apply that to my container, it'll start to put a gap between the columns and the rows. But what's weird is, hey, put my layout back, girl. So we can do a little bit of magic, and that magic is pretty easy. So you add a calc, and the calc is equal to half of your gap. 20 divided by 2 is 10. If my gap was 40, 40 divided by 2, 20. There you go. And you don't have to worry about the row because this width is what determines the 2-column layout. The row is so natural, it just flows, it just goes with the flow. You know, downtown that river, girl, just flowing with the river. Oh, baby, let it flow. And that's what I wanted to show you guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I got super jazzed talking about it. If you have any problems with Flexbox, you want to talk about Flexbox, are you using display grid? Are you exploring with some crazy freaking layout that nobody knows about? Talk about it down below. That's where I want to hear it. That's where I want to love it. Awesome. Well, I hope you liked it. And until next time, if you want to talk about anything, what's on it, K-pop, anything under the sun, let me know. See ya.
Flex Inspector here to solve your Flexbox woes. I got it. How do you do that? Oh,